Here's one of our top stories that could be affecting you or someone you know. Mechanics at WestJet have thrown a wrench into travel plans for tens of thousands of Canadians by walking off the job. The surprise strike means over 150 flights are canceled today alone, and more are likely to be canceled this weekend if a deal isn't reached soon. WestJet says about 20,000 travelers are impacted, and it'll be difficult to find other options to accommodate them. On Thursday, Labour Minister Seamus O'Regan directed the Canada Industrial Relations Board to resolve the impasse between the airline and the union. The Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association is blaming the airline for the walkout, saying WestJet's unwillingness to negotiate made the strike inevitable. For more on the impact of the WestJet strike, we're joined by Flightline Training Services CEO Phyl Durdey. Thanks for joining us here live on CP24. So what's your reaction to the latest, what seems like, knock on the airline industry, specifically, obviously, to the workers, but to travelers as well?
Yeah, good morning, Phil. Well, the negotiations broke down, and apparently the union had given another offer to the airline, which they haven't answered yet, and so that caused the AMEs to walk off the job. It has affected quite a lot of flights. Just looking this morning, there were 50 flights canceled in Calgary, another 22 in Vancouver, and in Montreal and Toronto as well have been affected, as well as Ottawa and Halifax. And the amount of aircraft that are flying right now, out of 131 aircraft, there's only 40 flying right now. So 2/3 of their aircraft are on the ground.
And so the main issues here are job security and wages. Am I correct?
That's correct. The unions, they're asking for a 22% raise over 4 years.
Now, is that something that they could get if they, if they were a dual citizen or if they get sponsorship? Is that a wage increase they can get if they work for Delta or U.S. Airways down south?
Well, the AMEs are, they want to get up to an industry standard. So what people in Europe are getting, and also in the United States, so they want to bring it up to that standard and be paid accordingly for what the job that they do.
So how much of this, the wages and the amount of money that WestJet would be willing to pay these people, these very essential people, literally keeping planes operational, how much of this is due to, the taxes they have to pay to the federal government, the security fees, which I understand in some airports are up 33%. How much of that is kind of in their way? It feels like these airlines, even the really big ones, they're financially, their hands are tied behind their back.
Well, the airlines are making good profits these days, as coming the rebound off of COVID, and the flights are full. If you just try to book a flight these days, the prices of flights are quite expensive. So I don't think the airlines are hurting, but, the AMEs need to be paid what they're worth.
Right. And so how long do you think this could actually go?
Well, it's hard to say. They do have meetings scheduled for Wednesday next week. So they have been said to go to our binding arbitration, which the AME union is not really happy about, but they want to get a deal. So they're going to start to sit down again. But how long the airline can sustain the schedule that they've got right now, it's hard to say. Management is probably filling in. And, there are some bigger checks on the airplane that have to come in. So that'll sit there and reduce the schedule as well.
Now, our CTV's Adrian Gobriel did a story about how people are kind of weighing on how they're going to be getting around, how they're planning their summer vacation. A lot of them turning to just road trips, keeping things local. A lot of that is due to how, to be honest, for lack of a better term, just bad, crummy the airline experience has been in this country. We've seen low-cost airlines like Lynx go out of business. Seems like every time there's a low-cost airline, they can't last more than 2 years. And now we're getting labor stoppages because they're not getting paid their worth. And now we understand that staff at Pearson could be going on strike as well. How would you assess the landscape of the Canadian airline landscape right now?
Well, I think the airlines, compared to some other airlines around the world, Canada does have a half-decent standard, a very good standard, actually. And the safety record of the airlines is amazing. Canada has some of the safest aircraft flying in the world. One of the things is in the industry, we're really short right now, and we're short personnel. We're short with pilots, AMEs, and they're forecasting that over the next 20 years. It was an article from Boeing in 2018. Over the next 20 years, we're going to be short about 768,000 technicians worldwide. So, that's also driving up the cost because there's not as many AMEs or pilots in the industry right now. And with attrition, there's going to be even less over the next few years. So we're going to be about 5,500 AMEs short over the next 10 years.
So while everything's going to be safe, it's still going to be expensive and maybe more stoppages? Is that what we should look forward to?
I don't once they get this negotiations out of the way, I think everything is going to start to go back to normal, and we're going to maintain the good schedule. We've always maintained an excellent safety record, so I think we're going to go back to normal flying.
And will there ever be an affordable airline that actually does stick around?
Well, we're hoping the prices do come down. I do travel myself a lot by air, so I'm hoping that the prices do come down. And, with there's still Flair Air, and then Canada Jetlines is now emerging, and they're starting to come to the forefront. So we'll have to wait and see where it goes.
All right. All things airlines, and specifically this WestJet labor discussion. Thanks so much. Flightline Training Service CEO Phyl Durdey. We appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Yes, have a great weekend.